Oh my lord, I think it's working. Let's check our audio settings here. Hopefully everything's working out just fine. Let's get this right microphone going. Boom, there we go. Check, check. Oh my lord, live from the astral plane yet again. We have returned. We've rematerialized through a very strange portal that suddenly opened up in the ceiling earlier this morning, approximately. I want to say 5:45 a.m. right before I had to go take another massive dose of what was it? Epsom salt, like 60 grams of Epsom salt mixed with 24 ounces of water taken over essentially a 12-hour period, mixed with a bunch of grapefruit juice and a unfortunate amount of olive oil. And boom, that was the story of at least 100 or to 200 stones that came out of my gallbladder and my liver this morning. Seriously, that's how we started our day over here, live from the astral plane, live from the world, live from the sexiest prison planet in third density. Or is it fourth density? Oh, wait. Sorry, I meant fifth density. No, but seriously, you guys, I've been doing this epic liver and gallbladder rejuvenation, cleansing, purging process over the past few months, and um, we just did another round of it just last night. It's a hell of a journey, man. It's a hell of a journey, but yeah, supposedly. At least by the time you get to your 40s and beyond, you can have up to 2,000 stones or more. I don't know who quantified 2,000. Maybe people that have been purging these over the past, few decades that were able to notice that there's approximately this many within the body. But we passed about, I want to say, well over 100. Well over 100. It's a fascinating procedure. It's a fascinating process. I think if you're one of those people out there that's ever dealt with addictions in this life, if you're one of those people out there that's dealt with autoimmune issues in this life, if you're one of those people out there that has, maybe you're just noticing the aging process and you're noticing how you're not processing food the way you were a few decades ago, or you're just really low on energy, or you just feel sick all the time. I also believe it contributes to accelerated aging within the body as well. But oh my lord, it's a hell of a journey. Let me tell you. You drink anyway. That was a fun intro, but it's really good to see everybody. It's been a while. It's been quite a while since we've been here. I did not realize that it was in February until I decided to do a live stream last week. I think, was it last week? Maybe it was a few days ago. For those of you guys that know me, you'll know my concept of time is horrible. It could have been earlier today for all I know, but I had realized when, I came to the decision, well, I think we're about to start doing some live shows again. I was like, oh shit, it's been since February. At least I'm pretty sure it has, right? I don't know. Maybe somebody that's watching this channel in the background can tell us. But yeah, it's been a few months. Yes, we are still alive. This is our proof of life. This is the proof of life live stream where I will show you that I'm still a living human. It took them a while to reprogram my clone. They had to program a bunch of weird mannerisms and stuff. And if you know me, I'm always going through weird body changes and weight shifts, and so they had to dial in the clone body in just the right kind of mixture of self-deprecating comments and ineffable charm. There's like a very, very particular ratio of both of those, and then you got to sprinkle in a little bit of multi-dimensional madness, and let's be real, a little bit of darkness as well. What would we be if we didn't have that shadow self? So we had to go through a little bit of a clone reconditioning. Luckily, they got rid of my negative canthal tilt, so my eyes are kind of angled upward now, which is definitely a fun thing. I just learned about negative canthal tilt. For those of you guys who don't know what that is, that's a fun wormhole to go down. Look up negative canthal tilt. It's just a stupid term that I learned from watching really cheesy Instagram videos. But yeah, look up negative canthal tilt. You'll be like, why did I look that up? What the hell does that have to do with anything? But anyway, it's good to see you guys. It's wonderful to be back in the world of YouTube live streams. I see a number of you guys here. What's up, Hopeful Art? Greetings, greetings. Good to see you again, wherever you are in this strange world. What's up, White Swan? She says, "Is that what Britney Spears has?" I don't know. Maybe I'll describe it though. I'll describe it for those of you guys that don't know what negative canthal tilt is. You'll notice some people have eyes that kind of naturally tilt downward, and some people have eyes that are more like horizontal, and some that move upward. And it's just it's kind of a meaningless thing. I'm gonna be real. It's essentially a meaningless thing. But you know how you'll get stuck, or I don't know. This probably doesn't happen to you guys. If you're watching this channel, you're probably completely immune from fixating upon random terms and weird things that you watch on social media. You guys are totally immune to that type of programming. But I'm going to be real. I'm not immune to it. And I don't know, you know how you'll just hear a term? I'm very obsessive, so I'll just kind of hear a term and I'll be like, what is that? What does that mean? I'm going to learn all about it. I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. I don't even know why. And so here we are talking about negative canthal tilt. I'm also one of those people that will literally obsess upon a song, and I will listen to that shit like 200 times in a row over a period of a month, or 200 times a day. If you want to go that far, you know, maybe 200. That's probably a gross exaggeration, but a ridiculous amount of times. And then, you know, you get to that point where suddenly you're oversaturated with it and you never ever listen to it again, or at least not for years. I tend to do that a lot. I'll just like blow myself up with something and then I'm like, okay, I've had enough, you know? Anyway, it's good to see you guys. How's it going? Let us know how you're doing. What part of the world are you from? We got unscripted liberation codes in the house in pure ninja form. Speaking of unscripted liberation codes, we also have our Canadian Awareness coffee mug. Boom, there it is. That's my plug for Canadian Awareness out there, wherever he may be, on whatever reptilian plane he's existing on. Hope you're well out there. And oh, what's up, Danny B, live from Portland, Oregon. Man, let me tell you, I did watch your. I really hope you don't get offended, but which you know you might, because like as soon as you say Portland, I'll say negative things about it. But no, really, the last couple times I went to Portland, Oregon, it was like the most thickest mind virus zone I have been to in America yet. And granted, I think that was 2022, so you know it's been a little while. We were right in the peak of post COVID madness. I've heard you're allowed to say that word on YouTube now in limited measure, so hopefully that'll be the only time we say it. But I was struck by the amount of just like mind virus insanity that I encountered in Portland. One of the things that really tripped me out about Portland was how the mask in Portland is like a personality trait. It's like a personality trait. You see that in other places. It kind of is in Los Angeles as well, or at least it was prior to us leaving there. But for some people, it's literally like an element of them now. It's just kind of like it's now a part of me. I wear it in my sleep. And you know, maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. maybe it's not. But anyway, what's up, Wings and Song? How's it going? Pismo Beach, California. You know, I'll be real, every now and then I do miss California. I definitely do. For those that don't know, which is probably very few, as we're one of those channels whose viewership is made up almost entirely of subscribers. I've noticed that some channels on YouTube, it's like 80-90 percent non-subscribed. Most of the people that watch these live streams, I was about to call it live stream, maybe we'll call it that. Most of the people that watch these live streams are usually subscribers to this channel. And if you're not a subscriber to this channel, my prayer is that you will do so. We're trying to get past this 6.8 thousand you know, algorithmic cap that they have us in. I honestly don't know if it'll ever happen, you guys. I'm gonna be real. I have no idea if we'll ever be able to break through that. I certainly do not have the social media clout. I do not have the follower numbers. We're very, very low in engagement. I don't even hardly like reply to comments anymore, but I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why we haven't been. A lot of you guys already know this. Oh, we got Purple Door from Vancouver. Nice. Good to see you out there in the wilds of Vancouver. Who else is here? I'll get back to my comment in a second. Danny B. Oh yeah, there we go. I think I just saw your comment. Where was it? Somebody else said something. LVC 73 live from North Carolina. I love your thumbnail image. Excellent choice. It looks very intense. I mean that from a sincere perspective, by the way. A lot of people tell me they can't tell if I'm being serious or if I'm joking most of the time, and that's because I'm actually being a secret third thing. I'm kind of in betweenst the two of them. But no, seriously, you got a cool thumbnail. Girl and her bong live from Chicago. And then that's one of those places that everyone has to talk shit about these days. Granted, Girl and her gong. I haven't been to Chicago since oh god, here we go. 2007. I haven't been to Chicago since 2007. But let me tell you, 2007 Chicago was a hell of a time. It was a great time period. Coincidentally, it was actually during the time period in which I was in a band and we were going on tour quite a bit back in the old days when everything was simpler and more confused. And so I personally had a great time in Chicago. I wish I could tell you the name of the club that we played, because it was a pretty good one, but I have no memory of such things. It's weird because I was literally sober at that stage of my life, bitterly sober, might I add. And yeah, I have no idea what the name of the place was. I do remember it had a basement that was famous for being haunted, which for some reason I didn't go in at the time. I don't know why. I did not go in there. Um, but you never know. Nowadays it's like a war zone, right? Joanna LeBlanc's in the house. Utah, nice. You know what? When we were driving across the U.S. over the past few years, every single time I would go through Utah, I always had a deep admiration for Utah in general. It's a very, very beautiful state. Um, who knows? Maybe we'll end up there at some point in the near future. Then we got Chris P from Michigan. What's going on, Chris? How's it going? Good to see you around these parts. Of course, we also have another Michigan inhabitant. I imagine you're driving around in a car right now, Aurora Diamond Heart. If you are, that's awesome. I was going to say something dumb alongside that, which I will withhold for the moment. But anyway, good to see everybody. Anyway, I'm going to get back to the comment that I was making earlier. Where is it that we've been? A lot of you guys know this. If you've been following us on Patreon, which we're still going. It's been honestly, you guys, in September of this year it'll be 4 years of monthly Patreon meetings, which leads me to one of our announcements here today. But let me get through this comment first. Where have we been? A lot of you guys know this. I think I mentioned it in the last live. If you're one of the people that only ever watches us on YouTube, you'll probably have a little idea, or maybe I mentioned it in a post, but we've been writing a book. It's true. And the book has been finished, something I never thought I was ever going to be able to finish, by the way. I honestly did not. I had no idea I was ever going to be able to get through it. But yes, we wrote a book over the past couple months. It is done. And I can now announce, I can say with great assurance, June 22nd. June 22nd is when our book comes out, and it is called Remember Your Mission. Maybe you're not crazy. Maybe you're psychic. Coming out on June 22nd. And so I'll be doing some other announcements about it. If for those of you guys that follow this channel, for those of you guys that are into the work that we do, you can say a few prayers, burn a few candles, stab a few voodoo dolls, whatever it takes, that some people in our community will let us come on their show and promote it. It's always been a thing for me. It's always been a thing. We don't know if that'll happen, but I'm hoping that it will. But regardless, we got a pretty good email list and we have this channel. And so I think it's going to be well received by those of you who are ready and able to partake in what we're talking about. And what is it about? Essentially, it's kind of a two-part journey. The first part of it is a set of experiences and activations that I went through beginning in the year 2015 through 2017. Essentially, that's kind of like the main bulk of the first half of the book is, the timeline shift that occurred in my life, what some people would call the walk-in event, or other people call a soul braid. There's a number of, fanciful new age terms that we can add to it. But I was one of those people that experienced a massive, shocking, fundamental, energetic, and multidimensional shift in my life in the year 2015. And The events that took place for me in 2015 are the literal reason why I am sitting here right now in this chair talking to you guys on YouTube, because of what went on at that stage of my life, the ins and outs, the crazy parts, the cool parts, the psychotic parts, all of it. And so um, it kind of made me what I am today. And it was what I would call a rite of passage, or a progression in this life, that when I sat down to write this book, I made the decision, this is the thing that I need to start with. Some people will, they'll go back to the old days, but for me, it was like, I'm starting at the version of myself now. When did that version of me come into this body? When did that version of me activate? And for me, it was in summer of 2015. And so first part of this journey is a little bit about what happened, how it went down, the madness, the coolness. And then part two is a little bit of an instruction manual. It basically talks through what I call the four pillars, or the four foundational elements of psychic or intuitive, or I guess we could even say multidimensional activation within the body. There are certain things that I have witnessed and seen and experienced, and I've also not witnessed in a lot of other people. There are certain things that we will do when we partake upon this path of what I call, psychic activation or multidimensional activation, that for those that devote themselves to these areas, these are the things that will fundamentally change you in this life. And it doesn't matter if you have an intention of becoming a full-time professional psychic, or, if you want to call it energy healer. It doesn't matter if that's your intention or if it doesn't, because just by following this set of, paths, I call them actually gateways in the book, just by passing through these four gateways alone, you will be fundamentally altering your consciousness as it is from this point forward for the rest of your life on Earth. There are certain things, there's certain changes, there's certain behaviors, there are just elements of you that you can bring into this life that, I'm going to be real. I am a part of a community with many mystics, experiencers, a host of all kinds of beautiful and awesome, strange beings. And I don't see too many people talking about those things. And so it's a little bit of an instruction manual in terms of, how can we activate in our own way. And so coming out on June 22nd. And so anyway, we're going to be talking a bit more about that in the coming weeks. But please let me know if you guys have any questions. As you might recall, for those of you guys that have joined us in the past, this show thrives upon your questions. So the weirder, the better. I need some really, really bizarre questions to kind of shake me out of this strange timeline we're in. And so let's ask some questions, you guys. What has been on your mind? What's been going right? What's been going wrong on the Earth plane? Let us know. I'm going to scan through your comments here. We do have a couple announcements. Actually, I will get to that right now. We do have a couple announcements coming up this Saturday. What's the date this Saturday? I think it's the 11th. Don't ever ask me the date. I should not ask myself the date. I'm pretty sure it's the 11th, right? Saturday, May 11th at 4 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be having our monthly Patreon reading group. For those of you guys that don't know, like I said earlier, we've been running this group for almost 4 years straight, every single month. And this Saturday, we're going to be doing readings for every single person that appears. It's how we roll. It's how we do it. Both myself and Annora will be on site. And please, I invite everybody to join us. If you are wanting to get a reading right now, if you've been looking for a little bit of intuitive guidance, if you're looking for a safe and accessible and intuitively accurate environment in which you can ask questions, in which you can get a little bit of time focused specifically on you and your energy, in my opinion, it's a really good place to do that. Thank you, White Swan, for that link. This is where you guys are going to find us this Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern. It is $10. And so join us over in the Patreon zone. I don't know how we keep going, you guys. I know I've said this in the past. I don't know how we keep going. Somebody must be in approval of the work we do, because they just keep opening the door for us to do this over and over and over again. And so we look forward to seeing a number of you there. Thank you for the question, Joanna LeBlanc. She says, "When will it be, or where rather, where will it be available?" Amazon. It's going to be on Amazon, and it's going to be available in paperback as well as the what's the online version? I'm missing the word. Kindle and the Kindle version. The Kindle version will be available as well, and so yeah, check it out. Like I said, I'll be making a number of announcements about it. You guys will be tired of hearing about it very, very soon. You're gonna be like, "Oh, really? More about that? Okay, great." And so, it'll be available on Amazon. And then also, we're gonna be doing a conference in July. I think it's July 15th through the 18th out here in the wilds of Florida. I believe it's at St. Pete Beach. It's called the Full Disclosure Now Conference. And that's going to be, a little bit of a book release thing. I'm going to try to have some physical copies there available for people that want to purchase them. That's coming up in July, so a little bit less than a month after we release it. I'll be doing a little bit of a presentation there at that conference as well, kind of just talking some about what's in the book, some about what's not, some about my own journey, and a few other things. And then we're also going to be doing a workshop. And so please do check it out, you guys. It is the Full Disclosure Now Conference out there in the wilds of St. Pete Beach. Um, yeah, it's coming up. We got a couple other people in the house that are going to be there as well. Mario from Unscripted Liberation Codes is also going to be speaking there at that event, as will a lot of other people. I should probably pull up the website. I think I will, although I don't know how that's kind of awkward clicking off the screen. Sometimes I have it ready, sometimes I don't. But join us in July. You guys are going to hear me talk more about it in the coming weeks. But Selena says, "Will you sign the book?" Hell yeah, I'll sign the book. Your book might be the only one I sign if you want to get technical. I don't want to drive down the value too much, so I'll sign it with someone else's name. Honestly, here, Selena, think of the most famous and cool social media, spiritual disclosure, secret space person, influencer. Like, choose your favorite one of all time, and I will sign the book as that person. Okay. Seriously, I'll sign the book as somebody else. What if I did? That would be crazy, right? I don't know. Yeah, see, that's what Aurora Diamond said. What name would I sign? You know what name I'm gonna sign? Your name. Boom. What? What? I'm gonna sign your name on it. Um. Anyway, yeah, no, totally. We will certainly be signing them. But yeah, thanks, you guys. Let me know if there's any other questions. I do want to do a little bit of an infomercial moment. We need to do it because I just think it's important. One of the things I learned over the last, I don't know, 2 to 3 months. How long has it been since we did any live streams? I don't know. It was since February, so it's been a couple months. But one of the things that was reflected to me by a few people that I work with on a regular basis was that I don't take enough time to actually, really promote certain things that we have. And I think that's because I've never really been one of those people that takes pride in constantly kind of selling themselves, constantly, showing, "Here's my thing, buy my class, be a part of my group." For those of you guys that watch this channel, you'll know that I will often devote a, somewhat disproportionate amount of time to talking about it on our live streams. And usually it's after, half an hour to an hour of talking about other stuff. And then I'll kind of slide those things in there. But I've just never been one of those people that really gets off on constantly promoting myself. And like I said, just over the people that I've worked with in the past couple of months, more than one person has been like, you're not one of those people that really sells yourself, and maybe you should try a little bit harder. And I have to be real. I felt very resistant to that idea. I don't know why. It's just been one of those things that I've never really been too into doing. Every now and then I get emails from people, and they're like, how come you don't publish your feedback from your sessions? All these other healers, they'll write this or they'll write that. How come you don't do free consultations or this or that? And my answer has always been one that might be a little bit, aloof. It might might not always be the best answer, but I tell people, you will know if you're meant to work with me. a certain energy, a certain feeling, a certain force of spirit will draw you toward the work that we do. And I firmly believe that because that's been the pattern since I started doing this work in 2017. And granted, I did spend the first, I would say, 2 years of this journey doing lives constantly, talking about stuff constantly, mostly on Facebook at that stage. But even in the midst of that, one of the things I didn't do was, constantly get up there and sell the stuff we do over and over and over again. But having said that, um, I do think it's important. I do think it's important to let the world know. And so these are a few things that people have been really taking advantage of. And a lot of you guys already know about this stuff, but if you're new to this channel, there are a number of methods and ways in which you can begin to open up your own multidimensional intuitive senses. And for me, I think one of probably the greatest turning points in my entire journey was when I started reading tarot, and it has somehow been the thing that has drawn the most people to our channel. More people have come to this channel looking for readings. A lot of people have found this on a number of other shows. Typical Skeptic is one, with Rob. People end up coming for the tarot readings, and then they stay for the energy clearings. And I think it's important to mention this because this is one of those things that you can begin doing right now. For those of you guys that believe you have a psychic ability, and that's literally everyone watching in this now moment. We are in the age on earth in which literally every single person has a very distinct set of abilities. And I've noticed that for me, that changed massively when I began to work with and use tarot. There I am. I'm on the screen now. I don't know. That was weird. But anyway, I encourage you guys to take advantage of this. This is our multidimensional tarot and energy reading course. Yes, it's on Vimeo, so that means that YouTube will immediately punish me by not sharing this video with anyone else. This video will not be appearing in the recommended videos list on your YouTube timeline. I apologize for that because I showed Vimeo. But that's where our classes are hosted. So for those of you guys that want to take advantage of it, this is a process that takes place over 5 sessions that will help you begin to generate a relationship with tarot, which I think is probably one of the most important things. For those of you guys that really want to learn how to do readings, it's like you have to be able to create a relationship with the tool that you use for divination. And to go back to the book that I just got done writing, one of the 4 gateways of actual psychic or intuitive activation that nearly everyone who does this on a regular level actually will, take part in on some level, is divination, learning a system of divination. Now, you might not be a tarot reader. You might be more into pendulums. You might be more into oracle cards. You might be, I don't know, maybe you're throwing bones. Maybe you're throwing runes. Maybe you're doing I Ching. It doesn't matter what system it is. The idea is that when you're on the path of truly awakening your psychic or intuitive abilities, you're going to need a language through which you can begin communicating with spirit. In my opinion, it's one of the most useful things you will ever do. And so I encourage anyone out there, if you've been trying to figure out how to read tarot, this is a system that can actually teach you how to pull a multidimensional tarot spread. And I would say, moreover, it will give you all of the meanings to every single one of the cards in ways that I have not seen other people. It's just not been a process that I've seen other people go through the way that we do it. But I also say this from the perspective of a person. Get ready. A lot of you guys know this because I'm going to shoot myself in the foot here by saying this. I've never taken a tarot class. I've never read a tarot book. It's just the thing it's just the thing I started doing. Every time I say that, somebody in the background cringes, and that's totally okay. I honestly, I would recommend doing as such, but and so check it out if you can. The other one, I'm going to talk about it. We're only going to do 2 of these, you guys. But the other one that I highly recommend right now is this one. Boom. The chakra clearing and activation process. This is a 6-session course that we've been teaching every year since 2019. I would say other than the tarot class that we do every year, although who knows, I wonder if 2024 will be the first year where we haven't done it. I don't know. There's still some time. We're right about to hit summer. If you want to do a live multidimensional tarot class, put a bunch of random emojis in the chat. If you're watching this on the recording later, if you want to do a live multidimensional tarot class, let me know in the comments as well. I'll be real. This year I've been a little bit focused on a few other things, but who knows? Maybe it'll happen. Secondarily, though, this is another one of the four gateways of true intuitive or multidimensional psychic activation. Yes, there is divination. That's what I call the second gateway. The third gateway is the stage of your journey in which you begin to learn the inner workings of the energy body, what I call the non-physical anatomy, the many templates, the many systems, the passage points, the chakras, the meridians within your energy body. For those that really want to take their abilities and their understanding of the realm of spirit, of non-physical energy to a completely different level. Yes, divination is incredible. It is essential to understanding how to speak with spirit. But what happens when something goes wrong? What happens when things don't work the way you think they're supposed to? What happens when you're caught up in cycles of self-defeating thought forms, old programs, old behaviors, addictions, autoimmune disorders, phantom illnesses that seem to affect the body that have no known, medical diagnosis or cause? Or, let's say you try to get treatment for them and you go to the doctor and they're like, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with you, we'll just put you on some meds." Well, one of the reasons why that happens to those of us who are highly empathic, highly naturally intuitive beings is that there tends to be a number of blockages within the non-physical body. Other people's emotions, old traumas, past life data, all kinds of things. Yes, things like entities, attachments, implantation as well. But I believe when you start to really go down the road of true intuitive activation, you need to learn energetic anatomy. It is one of the things that will set you apart from everybody else that does the same work as you. If you can generate a roadmap of what's going on inside the non-physical body, the reality is you're never going to be in doubt in terms of what needs to be healed, what needs to be opened, what needs to be activated, what needs to be purged. I know that for me, when I started studying and working with the chakras and the meridians, I think that was probably one of the points in which I experienced the greatest amount of growth beyond all else. It was when I started working with the non-physical body. And I don't say that from the perspective of meaning that everyone here is meant to become a healer. Not everyone here is meant to be, an energy clearing practitioner or a chakra healer or, whatever new age, term you want to add to it. Some of us will engage in learning the energy body solely for our own well-being, for our own health, for our own physical and non-physical solidity. And while the chakras are not the only template in the body, there's also the meridian body. There's also the nadial complex, or what other people refer to as the nadis. In fact, if you want to get technical, there's even this really wild organ network that's made up of the energy that surrounds our organs that I think is both a part of the chakra system and also kind of a part of its own thing at the same time. Not that I have the term for it. I think we're all figuring it out together, but this is the system. I think that when you're starting out on this path and you want to get better at what it is that you're doing, learning to clear your own chakras is going to be a life changer for everybody. I mean, everyone. It doesn't matter if you have no intention of ever being a healer, like I said, especially if it's for you, because you're going to see a lot of people that don't. For those of you guys that are following a similar path, and if you're watching this channel right now, there's a great likelihood that you are on a very similar path. You've probably already identified in some way, shape, or form that you're an empath, you're absorbing energy, you're reading energy differently. You've noticed the ways you've changed over the past few years. You've noticed how your perception has been altered. You notice how, relationships have changed, your outlook has changed. A number of things will shift naturally. And what you're going to notice is that for people that go down this road, they'll often come to a point in which things just stop working, or we come to, a plateau of sorts, and they never really go beyond that. And I think that's because you can only do so much work on spiritual bypassing and, that initial burst of multidimensional momentum in the body alone. That's only going to get you so far. At a certain stage, you're going to have to learn how to clear your own system. And this is a thing that I say in the book, but everybody out there knows a guy or a girl or a person, everyone out there knows a human that, they're so good with cars, that they can just hear the engine and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's your transmission, that's your whatever, your carburetor, I don't know, some shit. They'll just hear it and they'll know instantly what it is. And you have the ability to generate that level of awareness within your own body. You have the ability to hear 2 to 3 words out of a person's mouth in the course of a healing session, or maybe just in line at the grocery store. You have the ability to look in their face for just a few mere moments and know exactly what is going on with their energy body. And I think one of the ways in which we develop that clarity and that discernment is by clearing the chakras. And so, anyway, I could go on and on about it, but for now, our infomercial is done. You guys can check these out on Vimeo. All you got to do is go over to Vimeo. You can look for Remember Your Mission. Head over to Vimeo on Demand and search for Remember Your Mission, and you can find both of these there. We also have a psychic defense course and a meridian body clearing course as well, but we'll talk about those another time. For now, I want to thank all the people out there that have been taking advantage of these. I've been noticing over the past couple months how people just started finding them. I honestly don't know how they found them. I'm going to be real, because you guys will, for those of you guys that have watched this channel, like I said earlier, I don't spend a lot of time, other than what's buried, within these live streams, promoting these. And so I want to thank everyone out there who has found them over the past few years. Yeah, thanks you guys. Anyway, boom. We're back. That ends our infomercial. That ends our infomercial for the evening. But I do see a question there from Sandy Songjoy. How's it going? She says, is the pain body separate from the 4 general bodies, mental, physical, emotional, or spiritual? Also, can this body cleared via meridians in some way? I'm going to be real with you. I don't see the pain body as being a separate template. I think that any aspect of the self can be experiencing pain of some sort. And I know that there's a lot of very influential people that, refer to the pain body as this, this separate template, this separate system within the body. And it may very well be. I would say it depends on what kind of pain you have, where that pain is generated. Is it emotional pain or physical pain? I think there's places in which we're going to hold a lot more distorted energy, a lot more toxicity, a lot more damaging thought forms. And so I would say it really depends more on what it is. And so I guess to make that, to oversimplify it, Sandy Songjoy, I don't really refer to the pain body in general. It's just not a thing that I take into consideration in the work that I do. And who knows, I'm sure there'll be some people that'll watch this that, you're used to watching channels with much higher follower counts, and people that are very adamant about this is the way it is, this is the way it's not. I mean, people that are much more firmly set in their belief systems. And, I say that because I might be wrong. It's just not a thing that I have put a lot of relevance into. I look at things from a much more anatomical perspective, meaning I look at them through the psychosocial qualities of our organs, the emotions within the organs, the function of the organs. I look at them through the chakras or the meridians more so than anything else. And, just for the work that I do, I think that's probably the best approach for the work that I do. But other people are going to tell you something different. So I guess if you want to have a pain body in which you just hold pain in your body, then go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Angel Wings, what's up? She says, all one, it's all connected. I absolutely, yes. So absolutely. You definitely got it. To heal one, you heal the other. Why sometimes it's hard to heal certain aspects. It really is. It definitely is. They are all interconnected in truly remarkable ways. And so, maybe there's a very particular pain template in certain areas of the body. I might be wrong. If there's one thing I've learned, I'm constantly wrong. You're not going to hear a lot of other like professional psychics and, social media disclosure influencers say that. I'm constantly wrong. If you're not constantly wrong, if you're not constantly learning, if you're not constantly upgrading your understandings and picking up new pieces of data and making new conclusions, I think you're doing something wrong, because in doing the work that I've done for the past 7 years now, if you're not getting it wrong, sometimes you're not doing enough. I mean that sincerely. We have to be able to get it wrong. That's the only way we're going to get better. That's the only way we're going to learn. And so I'm one of those people that's totally okay with it. But uh, anyway, let me know if you have any other questions, you guys. What's up, Nanzi? How's it going? She says, Matthew, are you and Annora going to be in Grafton? We are, absolutely. Which brings me to yet another announcement. And that is that, yes, we are. We're going to be at the Rebels of Disclosure Conference. It's coming up. Actually, we're going to be departing on early Sunday morning. We're going to be driving across several states, heading out to Grafton, Illinois for the Journey to Truth Rebels of Disclosure Conference. I believe there's still tickets. I believe you can still get a live stream pass for those of you that can't make it there. But yeah, we're going to be there somewhere. I do not know where, probably way, really far in the corner behind a number of very, very popular and well-marketed starseed healers. We'll be like way in the back, and which is probably the best place for us. But we will definitely be there. We'll be doing sessions. It's kind of the only thing I know how to do at this stage of my journey. So it's the only thing I do. But yeah, we're going to be there for the whole thing. Honestly, there's nowhere else I would rather be. We greatly look forward to that conference, to seeing a bunch of people, seeing, a bunch of friends, people from our soul family, and just kind of hanging out and taking part in everything. I honestly believe it is one of the best conferences that you can go to just for a non-judgmental, kind of easily accessible social atmosphere where it's just so far it has worked. Out of the first two ones that we went to, it was absolutely amazing. And so theoretically you could still go there. I think you could. I think there's still people that are able to camp there, but we will definitely be there. Selena says, will the Federation be there? Oh, I certainly hope so, depending on who you ask. If you ask a person with the right follower count, with enough social media clout, yes, the Federation will be there. And not to be sarcastic at all, I'm gonna remove the sarcasm from it. Seriously though, yeah, probably. Why not? I certainly hope so. I hope they'll be there. We know the feds will be there, so you know what I mean. Nanzi says, I'll be in the multi-dimensional parking lot doing stuff. No more vendor spaces available inside. Whoa, interesting. That, you know what, though? At least you're going. At least you're going to be there. And I'm sorry to hear that you could not get a vendor spot. That's cool to know that has filled up. That's a really good sign. I have no idea who all the vendors are that are going to be there, but I'm sure they're going to be very cool. I know last year they had a number of really unique and awesome people that did a number of really cool things. I can only imagine this year there will be many more. Boom. Yeah. Thank you. And no, I was not being sarcastic. You watch the Federation may very well be there. The Alliance, the Empire, the Galactic Federation of Light. They could all show up. You never know. I know there'll be a few reptilians in attendance there. That much we can guarantee you. Danny B says, hope to get a session while we're there. Yes, absolutely. You certainly can. But we always have a sign-up sheet. We always have a sign-up sheet available, which is a good thing to talk about very quickly. We mentioned this on, I think it was the Journey to Truth show that I did. God, it feels like a couple months ago now. But the sessions that we do at events are a very different type of session from what you would get when you book online. It's a very different process. I like to call what we do at public events kind of like these short-term energetic interventions, or almost like, urgent I can't speak, urgent care kind of sessions, where what we're essentially doing is creating short bursts of energy through a few different pathways within the body that, when done properly in a specific process or alignment, can allow people to let go of big pockets of energy, negative thought forms, things they've gathered, things that you've walked in the door with. Because one of the things I've noticed at a lot of these events is people will show up and they'll be feeling a lot of, wounds. They'll be feeling a lot of, thought forms, all kinds of crazy stuff builds up in the body. And then when you get around a bunch of people that are in a higher vibration or in a different vibration from you, it can create almost like this shakeup effect where people walk in and they start getting a bunch of weird emotions, or they start absorbing energy from other people, and it can lead some people to feel very overwhelmed. It can lead some people to feel all of their old social wounds, and then other people will just be carrying around these big packets of energy that we've been holding for the last year or more, sometimes decades. And so what I've learned that we do at these in-person events is essentially opening up a few places on the energy body. For those of you guys that saw us there last year who have done sessions with me in person, you'll know that we focus primarily on upper chakras and on kind of attuning and opening up the crown in a manner that allows people to go through what I call a depressurization of their energy field, or we could say the auric field, if you want to go there. And at the same time, we'll also kind of physically access a couple meridian points or also chakra points on the body, not to become overly anatomical and somewhat analytical in how I describe this, but one of the things I've learned over the past few years is a lot of work that I do when we're in person involves the back of the body, in which there's a very particular type of access panel that we have in our back that pertains to the bladder meridian, which, for those that don't know, it's the longest channel in the body. It goes from like kind of right around here in the corners of the eyes and the upper parts of your forehead all the way down to the tip of your little toes. And it is a channel that carries a tremendous amount of energy for people that feel avoidant, people that feel fearful, people that feel anxiety, people that have frozen trauma trapped within the body, people that are very hesitant, or they're having a hard time connecting with other people. Oftentimes you can kind of, open up the bladder meridian or really access a few organs from the back. And it'll allow certain things to drain out of the body, which, for those of you that aren't really familiar with the meridian body, you'll hear the bladder meridian and you'll think I'm talking about the bladder itself, which we kind of are. But what we're really talking about is the channel that persists through the body that carries bladder energy and, kind of works its way, literally from your head all the way down to the tips of your toes. And I've just found there's a really interesting access panel on the back that allows us, with a little bit of palpitation or palpation, sorry, a little bit of touch. That's probably a better word. A little bit of tapping. We can usually open up a really good flow in the body. And what would that do for people? It kind of brings you back down to earth. It helps you integrate with people socially better. When we open the crown, especially in a public environment like that, you start receiving messages from spirit. You start tuning into thought forms of others, which is not always the best thing to experience, but for those of us that are intuitively activating or going through that own process in their own way, it's incredibly helpful, because a lot of us have what we call downloads from spirit or energies coming in. And if your crown is closed, if your crown is kind of misaligned or kind of like restricted in the energy body, a lot of energies from spirit are not going to make their way into the body. And for those of you guys that have been in our classes, you've probably heard me say this a bunch of times, but and I just saw one of your comments there. Thank you. We'll get to that. In fact, that caused me to apply that. But for those of you guys that have, oops, did I just lose my video? Well, let me know if you guys can see me. We lost our video here. And it's back. Whoa, weird. Let me know if you guys saw that. My screen just glitched out really hard. Oh my Lord. Interesting. Okay, I see. Okay, yeah, we're good. Wild. I don't know how that happened. My camera just went out, but maybe it's just my computer itself. That's pretty weird. Way to go. Thanks for pulling us out of the train of thought, you crazy AI archons. Anyway, what I was talking about with the crown chakra is that a lot of people have, you'll be holding your phone and you get that message. Do you want to download and install, iOS 14, 15, 16, whatever it is? And you know how we always say no? We're always like, no, tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. The crown chakra is one of those places wherein if it's closed or restricted in the body, there can be all kinds of what we might call multi-dimensional updates that need to make it into your energy field that will not. And so anyway, that's what I was trying to say before that totally random glitch out. It never fails. For those of you guys that know me or that have been in our other classes or groups, there's always a weird tech issue at some point. But I guess it didn't show up for everybody here. At least it's not the audio. That's always a major one. Anyway, thanks, you guys. At least if I can't see myself, I know that you guys can always see me. That's kind of creepy, right? That's anyway. What's up, Lakeside Laura? How's it going? I received a message from my mom with Matthew last year, and my hands tingled with energy with Annora. Whoa, thank you for saying so. I certainly hope that we'll see you there again. It's good to see your face around this wild live stream. Thanks for joining us at the multi-dimensional trailer park. It is good to see you. Yeah, that's weird. I'm still tripping on that random video outage there. Interesting. Thanks, Sandy. We got the point, though. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. What's up, Red Orion? It was a message from Spirit. Computer couldn't handle. I don't know what it. Honestly, you know what I think it is? I think it's StreamYard, and I think it's also that I'm gonna expose myself here, not in the way you might think. I literally have 20 windows open on my browser right now. Honestly, I think more than 20. Yeah, I think there's like literally so many windows open. So it makes sense that my computer is going to glitch, but at least it's not glitching for you guys. But anyway, what's up, Debbie Elliott? How's it going? Thanks for stopping by. It's been a while. It's been a while. Yeah, Red Orion knows how it is. All right, you got right. I'm one of those people. It's like I'll have like dozens of those things open at the same time, and then eventually my computer will crash in some way. So it's like, you did it to yourself. You did it to yourself. I'm going to scroll through and see if there's any questions. If you have a question for me about the energy body, about multidimensionality, if you have a question about how to awaken or activate psychic abilities, please throw it in the chat. Please, please, please throw it in the chat. We can't tell you much, but we can tell you about that, which is funny because that was a thing that I was definitely reflecting upon in the book that we just got done writing. It's a thing that you'll realize at a certain stage, or at least that I realized at a certain stage, if there was ever anything that I ever did right in this life. And granted, I tried to do a lot of things, prior to, the version of me that you see here. There was a number of very distinct identity stages for me in this life that took up, a massive amount of, my experience as a human. And if there was one thing I ever did right, it was this, because I'll be real, none of those other ones really worked. It was always very short-lived. It was always a process by which I was fighting some uphill battle, trying to make headway, trying to get better at a certain thing. In some cases, trying to get noticed, trying to be seen. And it took me until age 40 when I started doing the work that I'm doing now, where that just began to happen naturally. It was like this, honestly, it was the most natural transition I have ever made in this human journey. And it's funny, which is another thing that I was reflecting upon in this book. There were so many people when I started doing this work within my family, within so-called friend groups, acquaintances that I knew. Honestly, I think pretty much everybody did not believe what I was going through was real. They were like, "What, really? You're going to leave behind your marriage, the house you own, the job that you've been at, the career that you had for, a number of years. You're going to leave it all behind, and so you're just going to go be a psychic now?" Oh, okay. You know what I mean? I got a lot of that, like, "Oh, that type of shit." And, needless needless to say, most people did not believe it. And if there was ever a time when I was able to prove everybody wrong, this was it, because we are still going. And I'm going to be real, friends, family, my parents, even literally, there's a lot of people in my family that just fundamentally cannot recognize, the work that we do. And yet we have been supported by it for years, and it keeps going and going and going. And so I realize, if there has ever been a thing that, we were well suited for, it was helping other people understand that process for themselves, which is essentially really the heart of why I wrote this book. Really, it was like, how did this go for me? What did I have to go through? What might you have to go through? And when you do realize that you're going through that journey, what can you do to make it work? How do you make it stronger? How do you stop yourself from going crazy in that process? And I believe that, for people that truly, truly want to, devote themselves to opening up their intuitive abilities, there are things you can do that will work. Absolutely. And while it's definitely a different path for everybody, it's absolutely possible. Boom. And so, oh, I see a question here. Thank you, Lakeside Laura, for using all caps. Why are you shouting at me? I'm kidding. But no, that definitely works. You definitely caught my eye. How does what you do compare to Reiki? That's a very good question. I don't really use Reiki, but it's not for any negative reason. It's not because I have anything against it. In fact, Reiki was one of the only, we could call them, specific classes on energy work that I ever took. And oddly enough, I think I think Reiki was in, I want to say 2012 or 2013, like far long before any of this stuff. I did take a Reiki course, and it really didn't stick with me. It was at a stage in 2012 in which I think I was one of those people where spirit tried to nudge me toward an awakening process before 2015. It was like certain things kind of showed up. They kind of poked their heads out. I felt like my body was about to literally burst with energy in 2012. And I did actually spend a few months going to psychic groups and like learning a few things and kind of picking up. Actually, no, thank you. That was 2013. Um, I did pick up a few things. It was actually kind of an intro period, but it really, to be honest with you, it really didn't stick with me. It really was not something that I honestly, I also didn't really like the power structure of it. I remember taking this Reiki course with this woman, and she explained that, the power comes from, I don't even remember it now, but she was like, the power comes from, your master, so to speak, and I'm channeling this energy like into you, and it's not your energy, it's the energy of this greater frequency of this thing. And it felt very, what's the word I'm looking for, dogmatic. It felt restrictive and dogmatic in a way that I couldn't really grab onto. However, it's interesting because in going to those Reiki classes, I definitely felt the energy, but I didn't know anything about it. I did not learn anything about the chakras. I really didn't pick up very much at all. And if you want to get technical, I stopped going to it. I didn't even go to the last session. And let me just say, not because I had a negative idea of it, I think ultimately I was not ready for it. It was not something that I was ready to absorb. It was not something, it was just not the right time. And so anyway, that doesn't really answer your question, but um to answer your question, I don't specifically use Reiki in the work that I do. Although I love it when people do, and I think there's a lot of really talented Reiki healers out there. I use what is essentially a series of auditory tones and what some people might call scalar wave frequencies that the human body is able to generate that don't actually need a sound behind it. Um, what we essentially do, to be very, very specific, is create dilation of energy centers and pathways within the body. That includes chakras, that includes meridians, that includes the energies around your organs. And we do so through a series of phrases, which a lot of people that watch our channel are familiar with, the capsule phrases, which we do talk about those quite a bit in the book. In fact, that's one of the biggest things we talk about. because it was an experience that was given to me. It was not something that I learned, and a lot of you guys have heard this story, but, I actually watched myself doing a healing on a being in an out of body state, and when I came back from that experience, alongside what I believe to be a very particular race of extraterrestrial humanoid beings, when I came back from that experience, I merely mimicked the sounds that I heard and the techniques that I watched myself using in an out of body state, which for some people out there, that will be one of the most cringe and ridiculous things you have ever heard. You'll be like, really? So let me get this straight. You started doing energy work based upon an out of body experience that you had one afternoon sitting in a psychic shop in the greater Los Angeles area, where a group of very tall humanoid extraterrestrial beings took you through somewhat of a ritual and then showed you a scene in which you were healing one of their own. And then you came back from that experience and you just copied what you saw in that experience. And that's what you do with people? Literally that. Literally that. It's exactly what it is. And some people out there will hear that and they'll be like, "What? Oh my god!" You know what I mean? There are, you guys. There's probably hundreds, maybe thousands of channels on YouTube devoted to debunking and tearing apart and ripping up people like me that make such claims and talk about how they got this and that. You know, whether it was channeled, whether it was the ET experience, whether it was, some form of a hallucination. So, I always leave myself open for those people. I welcome their ridicule, but that's literally what happened. I am a direct product of watching something take place in an out of body state and then coming back into this body and just going for it. And what I noticed was that even if it was a hallucination, even if it was me completely misinterpreting every single thing that I experienced, even if it was, some MK Ultra mind wipe, memory implant scenario, even if it was something like that, the reality is it worked. Whatever it was worked, and it still works to this very day. And if you're one of the people that has encountered me in a private session, if you're one of the people that, like for those in our Patreon group that come to an energy clearing that we do every single month now, if you're one of the people that has encountered our work over the past 7 years, you are essentially, working with a person who never learned how to do any of this. Like I said, I took, part of a Reiki class years ago. I went to a couple retreats with really good people who I was able to watch the work that they were doing. I was able to see the techniques that they were using, but there was never any point in this human journey in which I sat down with another person and they said, "This is how you move energy in someone else's body." Absolutely not, ever. It has never occurred for me. And so some people would be impressed by that. Other people would be like, "Oh my God, are you serious? He doesn't have a master's in, energy body mechanics from such and such, starseed like university. Oh my God. He didn't get certified in Lilydale, New York. Oh my God. He's not for real." We are the most organic version of the thing that I do of anybody I know. Some people would say, "Oh, well, you're bragging, you're boasting about it." And, maybe I am. Maybe I am. And, maybe we'll do that every once in a while. But I think I am a testament to those who are willing to behave and act accordingly with an intention, with a belief that they can, and with the willingness to just go for it. And I think if there is anything I would ever want to inspire somebody to do in this path of, multidimensional awakening, is that you would take that as an example and say, "You know what? If that guy can do it, I can do it. If that guy can get this far, I can get this far." Or at least in my own way, in my own manner, which I do believe is literally true. And so, anyway, sorry. Anyway, sorry, I'm going on an epic rant. Lakeside Laura is probably like, all I did is ask a simple question, and here he goes. He's going on this. Now he's on a good one. Oh God. Anyway, sorry. Thank you, Lakeside Laura. Oh, and you totally get it too. It's definitely a natural thing. Intention is literally everything. People that have been in our classes, and honestly, right now we're doing a 90-day transformation group, which is a very intense thing. I saw a couple people from that drifting through the chat. It's a very, very intense thing. We're meeting twice a week for 90 days. We're doing a silent meditation. We're doing an energy body clearing process. We're doing private sessions. Some of you guys heard me talk about it a couple months back, which is funny because once again, literally didn't sell it. You know what I mean? We talked about it on a couple live streams. I made a couple posts about it, and it just filled up. It filled up with people. I'm truly, truly grateful for that. But intention is everything. As long as your intention is pure, as long as you are willing to act upon that intention, and as long as you're willing to be willing to change those techniques when the time comes, when you learn better ones, when new knowledge comes in, I believe there is nothing we can't do. It is entirely possible that a person that has absolutely zero experience whatsoever can help you clear energy from your body in ways that you've never done so before. Truly, truly possible. Anyone can do it. And I don't know. My prayer is that you will believe in yourselves no matter what. No matter what. Anyway, sorry to go on and on. Sorry, Lakeside Laura. Whatever you do, it does actually give results. So you're probably doing it right. Thanks, Red Orion. I certainly appreciate it. I think I noticed that when I started to get emails and messages from people that we had worked with, and I noticed that in 2018 and 2019 alone, I saw over 1,000 people each of those years. Honestly, I think in 2019 it was so many more than I can even count. It was over 1,000, well over 1,000 people. 2020 as well, in the height of COVID madness, it was like off the charts. And one of the things I noticed within that time period was that people from all over the world started finding us. And in some cases, it was people that really didn't really speak English. They didn't know why they were there. It was like they'd heard a live stream I did, or they saw me on this random podcast. And it's funny because I don't really do a lot of shows. You guys follow me, know this. Most people won't even acknowledge us in this so-called community, but for those that do, has led to great change. And what I noticed is that it led to people from all over the world started finding us. And here's the thing: I firmly believe that if what it was I was doing, if those capsule phrases, if those tones, if me kind of pinpointing these meridian and chakra junction points in the body and sending energy into them, if that was fake, if that was no good, if that was something that my human consciousness just decided to construct one day out of utter boredom, we would have seen the results that said, no, this doesn't work. We would have seen some sign that said, no, actually, obviously, you're not doing anything. But it was completely the opposite. And I think the first time I kind of published or started giving out this image file we have that has all the capsule phrases we use, I started getting messages from people saying, hey, I did this chant, or I did the third eye chant and the navel chakra chant that you told us about, or especially the liver one, you guys. Oh my God. That's one of the most powerful ones, especially the liver phrase. I started getting messages from people saying, hey, I actually did this. And I started to cry. My body started to shake. I started to sweat. I started to get all these old memories coming out of my body. It shocked me. It shocked me. And I'll be real. A lot of those messages I don't really like reply to them. A lot of times it's like, what can you even say? I don't know, but it was very, very cool to see that, regardless of where it came from, something worked. And so anyway, sorry guys, I'll go on and on about it. I'm looping on that area. We're just looping around and around and around. Selena says, can you tell what area or chakra someone needs help on by how their energy feels? Do you feel it in your body? Or that's a very good question. Okay, sometimes I'll hear it in the voice, which is very, very reliable. You can hear the throat chakra in a person's voice very, very effectively. You can also hear the solar plexus chakra in the manner in which a person communicates very, very effectively. So a lot of times I'll hear someone speaking and I'll be like, oh, okay, we got some throat energy. or you'll watch the way someone speaks. It's very, very helpful on YouTube, and based on the way they present themselves, you'll get a good idea of how the solar plexus chakra is operating. The power through which they're able to communicate themselves is going to often be a great indicator in terms of how well that energy is flowing. And so in some cases it's an auditory signal. In some cases it's very, very physical, which is really, really common. I'll be in a session with somebody and I'll just get a feeling in a certain area of my body. So there's kind of a mixture between auditory signals, what I would call a clairsentient signal. Back in the old days, when I first, in the old days, literally, 2019, 2020, which I guess is kind of the old days now. But back in those days, I would actually get a smell with some people. I would get a taste. It doesn't happen as much now. Every now and then it does. When I'm around people physically, like which we're going to be at a conference very soon, so I'll be able to test that once again. But I've noticed when you're in the physical vicinity of someone, or rather when I'm within the physical vicinity or someone, I tend to get a taste in the mouth or a smell. And I don't mean the smell that the person, like the smell of your body. There's sort of like an energetic smell that will come in that sort of goes beyond what you would pick up directly from your olfactory senses. It's like this sort of energetic thing that can tell you a lot about, I would say a lot more about the meridian body than the chakra body. But maybe the most common one, which will be a cheap answer for some people, but I'm being totally real, is that I will literally just hear it in my head. And it's not a voice that comes from outside me. It's like a voice that comes from within, usually over to my left, which is a thing I've talked about in other shows and other classes. We have natural access points in our energy field. And for me, when I notice I'm usually getting some form of information about a person's energy body, it's very commonly to the left. But I will say sometimes it's to the right as well, but usually to the left. It's like I'll be talking to someone. Some of you guys will notice me do this every now and then when I'm doing readings. I notice it happens a lot on Rob's show over on Typical Skeptic, which is kind of the main place that we've been showing up for the past couple of months. But you guys will notice I'll be doing readings and it's like I'll just go to the left as if someone says something. And it is very much as if someone says something. So I guess to answer your question, which I'm grossly over answering, Selena, I tend to get that data in a number of different ways, which I guess is cool on one level. I think I'm a really good example of having reasonable access to all of the so-called clair abilities. But I will say one thing, the least vivid, what we might call intuitive sense for me is sight. That's the least operable one, always has been. I get a lot of internal data within the mind's eye, but I tend to rely on everything else before the visual quality of it. And I know some people are naturally very clairvoyant. They'll see energy, around people. I do sometimes, but most of the time it's a picture that I will put together based upon a extrapolated data from a series of senses all at the same time. It's like I'll smell it, hear it, feel it, and then I'm able to go, oh, okay, I can tell you exactly where that is. And so for better or worse, I'm example of all of those. But you can very effectively increase any one of those clair abilities, any single one of them in your body, by merely detoxing your body from heavy metals, doing a really good parasite cleanse, which for those that are still following, that's the first gateway of psychic or intuitive activation, detox. It will always be the first gateway. But anyway, thank you for that question. I will make one recommendation for Selena and anyone else who is trying to learn how to gauge blockages or just the energy of a person. Just, let's say you're learning to connect with people on an intuitive level. You're already realizing that you're kind of getting data, you're getting feelings about people, you're looking at them very differently. You're just noticing the sort of the layers of extra sensory data that you pick up when you talk to other people, or especially when you watch them on YouTube. And you'll notice it's there, but you won't always notice what it means, or we won't know how to discern it. We won't know if it is ours or if it is theirs. One of the things I recommend doing, which for some people is a very haphazard thing in the beginning, when you're attempting to connect with the person's energy, and you can try this on YouTube technically you guys can try it right here, right now. What I recommend doing is watch someone, you can do it in face to face moments as well, but be willing, number one, to take a very direct look at their energy or their face. Like, make a concerted attempt to connect directly with their energy in whatever way you can. That's step one, which for some people is awkward because sometimes it involves like a direct form of eye contact just for a few seconds. That for some people can feel really weird. You'll be like, "Oh, I don't know, why is this guy looking at me dead in the eyes like that?" It's kind of, it's kind of a weird thing. So I'd say step one is you need to have a very clear view of what it is that you're trying to read the energy of. That's why YouTube's invaluable for this, because you can just like literally stare at someone's face. So that's step one, look into their eyes. Step two, take a breath in, but it's a very particular type of breath. It's a type of breath wherein it's almost as if you were taking a whiff of their energy, which for some people sounds silly or awkward, but no, seriously. It's like, look at that person, and as you hear their voice, as you're perceiving their energy, it's like you're going to go, pull it into your body, and just notice what you notice. Notice how you feel. Don't look for a picture of them. Don't look for a message of someone's telling you what's going on with them. Just take a deep breath in of their energy and simply allow what appears within your mind's eye. For some people, that's going to be incredibly confusing from the very start, because you're going to do that and you're going to breathe in and you're going to get all sorts of thought forms and images and ideas, sometimes desires, sometimes feelings, sometimes, weird shit. Let's be real. Sometimes really weird shit will come through. And it's really hard to know, like, wait, is this me? Is that you? And I think that's where a lot of people get really mixed up in the beginning, is because we have access to all this information already. It's already entirely possible for you to receive this information. But one of the problems is that we do not often know where we are, or rather where I end and you begin, which I think is really the key. And so I would say, prior to doing this thing where you'll sort of peer into someone's energy and take a breath in and notice what you notice, you can aid yourself greatly by being brutally honest with yourself in terms of your current status, which is honestly a very hard thing for some people to do, which is why shadow work is essential for people who want to become more intuitive. It's like you have to be willing and ready to look dead in the eyes, the darkness and the hate and whatever it is that's inside you. You got to be 100% willing to look at that. People who don't, you're not going to last very long. And you're going to see a lot of good people come to this plateau type of effect in doing certain sorts of intuitive work where they won't go past a certain point. They get really good at something, or they get kind of good at something, and then they just can't progress past it. In a lot of cases, is because we're still holding tremendous amount of energy within the self. And I am not immune to that. Don't ever get the idea that I'm one of these people that's like, I used to be like that. Let me tell you, I don't have that anymore. Negative entities can't affect me. Honestly, anyone that says that is kind of giving you a sign that they don't have as much knowledge of self as they would want you to believe they do. Everyone gets affected by negative energy. But the key is knowing what your biases are, knowing where your darkness is, knowing where your resentments are, noticing where your programming is, knowing the things that you unconsciously hate or disapprove of in other people, and also knowing the things that you semi or unconsciously desire or wish that you have, because all those things are going to affect the ways in which you read energy. And so when you're taking a breath of the person in, one of the reasons why I think people get easily confused by those streams of data is because, like I said, we don't know which part's ours. We don't know which part's theirs. And so the key is, before you begin, you have to be able to sit there and go, how do I really feel right now? How do I really feel? What's my anger level? What's my jealousy level? What am I desirous of? This is kind of a stupid old phrase, but the whole hungry, angry, lonely, or tired thing. A lot of you guys know where that comes from. You have to ask yourself that, like, really, where am I at in the spectrum of emotional and energetic well-being? If you know where you are, even if you're not in a good state, because it's not to say you have to be this crystal clear container in order to do this type of work. Being an effective psychic or an intuitive healer honestly doesn't actually require you to be this being of holy clarity and to be an upstanding member of society. You're going to find some really, really dark people that will do this work as well. And, they might do really good work at the same time. The difference is they'll have knowledge of self. They'll know how to clear themselves out. They will know, hopefully, how not to project that upon other people. And so it's not that you have to be 100% clear within your own energy body, but what you do need to know is what's yours and what's theirs. How do I really feel about this? And it's crazy because I promise you guys, for those of you guys that really step forward into this work, you are inevitably going to run into people. When you see enough clients, when enough people come to you for help, you will eventually inevitably run into people that you won't like. You won't get it. You won't feel where they're coming from. You will disapprove of certain choices they've made or certain ideas that they've had. And that's a natural thing. You're going to have that experience. I think what we have to train ourselves to be able to do, it's not necessarily compartmentalizing your own energy, but being willing to go like, this is me over here and this is where I'm at. Okay, cool. This is where I'm at. And now I'm going to enter that space in between you and I and allow myself to perceive where you are at, knowing where I'm at. I think when you're able to do that, and every single person is, you're going to start being able to discern so many more things about a person. I'll tell you what, probably one of the biggest things you'll pick up. Some people don't like it when I say this. You're going to learn really, really quickly who's bullshitting and who's not. And it sucks because you're going to have some really good friends. You're going to know some really good people that you love and respect. And there's going to be moments in which you hear the words and the stories and the stuff coming out of their mouth, and you're going to go, you're just going to have this like cringe moment where you're like, oh my God, no. You know what I mean? And you're just going to know, that it's not true, or you're going to know that they're hiding something, or you're going to know that, there's a whole other thing going on. And it's hard. That's a hard one to deal with. Your bullshit meter goes on, it goes crazy. Which, if you're wondering, how might I, improve or reawaken or, just greatly enhance that internalized frequency of truth bullshit meter? How could I get better at that? Would there be certain energy centers I might work on in order to make that one work better? Yes, there is. I'll tell you right now. In order to read the frequency of truth, we need to be able to, a couple places. Number one, solar plexus is one of the biggest ones. It's not the only one, but it's one of the biggest ones. It's incredibly vibratory. I think a lot of people tend to, rely upon solar plexus energy for personal momentum and power and your ability to, project your energy and to, stand in solidity and to be fully present in a moment and, to develop and, a number of things. It does all kinds of great stuff. But at the same time, it also vibrates very, very heavily with truth and with untruth. And all you have to do is think about, back when you were a little kid, because most of us at certain stages of our earlier journey, we had very alive, very aligned, very pure, very open chakra systems. A lot of us as little kids, before the world squashed us into, waves of conformity, we had very alive, very, functional energy centers in the body before everything had been built up with programs and, faulty ideas. And a lot of you guys, but pretty much everybody here, you will have noticed how people had just said things to you as a kid, or you'd heard certain things, or sometimes you'd just walked in the room. You'd come home from school and walk in the house and you just get this feeling in your body. And over time, what happens is we learn to suppress it. You know what I mean? Because the rest of the world doesn't, they're not always going to respond to what it is that you pick up. And so what happens is that we suppress our solar plexus chakra very, very quickly, very early on in life. And that's one of the gateways that needs to be flowing or open in somewhat of an operable sense for you to be able to perceive what is true. Another place that needs to be well dilated, we could say, open in a sense, would be your navel chakra. especially when you're trying to figure out, how do I respond? How am I supposed to react? How do I, operate in a certain situation, given the instincts that I've learned to suppress unconsciously? How do I then reawaken those things and learn to respond instantly? It's through your navel chakra. Very, very particular. And I said this in the book, but I still honestly cannot think of one person within our multidimensional community that has anything to say about the navel chakra. And if I'm wrong, please, please, you guys, tell me in the chat. Is there someone else talking about the importance of the navel chakra? If there are, please let me know so I can congratulate them publicly, because I have not seen anyone else talk about it. And yet, when you're trying to actually open up your third eye, when you really want to perceive what's going on in the world and then be able to react and respond appropriately, if the navel chakra is closed off, you're not going to be able to use your instincts in the same way that you would if let's say back when you were a kid, before everything got squashed out of you. The navel chakra is one of the most important pieces of your energetic anatomy. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people never really get a fully open third eye, because you need to have these other pathways kind of venting and flowing with energy in order for it to actually receive the proper amount of what we might call energy or light within the body. And so navel chakra, solar plexus chakra, and then I guess since we're in the chakra body, I would say your thymic chakra, which is right up at the tip of your collarbone there, right where the thymus is. That's another one where you'll just be absorbing other people's emotions and thoughts constantly. But anyway, I'll just go on and on about all that stuff over and over again. But you must learn to read the frequency of truth. And I think as you go through processes of experimenting with reading other people's energy, you will start to notice how the thought forms, how the images, how the senses, how the desires, how the fears, how the annoyances are different from person to person. And you guys are free. You're free to do that with me here on this live stream. Seriously, give it a shot. See what kind of imagery you come up with. Just be careful what you wish for. You know what I mean? Be careful what you wish for, because you might figure some things out. Anyway, thanks you guys. Joanna LeBlanc says, I've had those moments, right? You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Selena says, I need to open my navel chakra and maybe like cleanse it and stuff. I think it'll definitely help. It'll definitely help, especially when you're trying to figure out how to respond differently to the myriad of bizarre stimulus that you're constantly cycling through in this world. If you find yourself caught in behavioral loops with people where it's like, so-and-so says this, and then I do that, and then this happens, and I always react this way when someone does this, that's a good example of a navel chakra that I'm not saying it's like closed, because I don't even necessarily believe that chakras become fully closed. I think that they definitely fall out of alignment. They get very, very effectively restricted by negative emotions in the body. But I've even seen a lot of people say they had their chakras removed. Even really good people, really good, well-meaning people that I have known are like, I did a chakra, removal process. And yet you look at their energy body and you're like, oh, that's funny, because it's wild. There's your root chakra. Huh, okay. And there's your solar plexus chakra. Yep, still there. And there's your throat chakra. You're talking, right? Yeah. Well, there's your throat chakra. And so you're going to see a lot of people say that. And it's not that I don't believe it. It's that I think it's a system in the body that's going to be there regardless. Here's one thing we can do, at least through my direct observation. And once again, you guys, I'm wrong all the time. So maybe there's some people on this live stream right here. They're like, I don't have chakras. What are you talking about? And, maybe I'll work with them and go, oh, you don't. Well. As soon as you try to say that's always how it is in the realm of spirit, you will receive an exception. But anyway, I'm just going on and on. We shall table that for the moment. We'll put that on the side. Thank you for your questions, by the way. Selena says, where is the thymic chakra? It's right above your thymus itself, which is like right underneath the collarbone. Some people call it the high heart. I think it's kind of in between the tips of your lungs, like right where the lungs connect together. There's this little bulb, this little bud there. It gets a lot smaller as we age. You know, when you're pre puberty and in the puberty stage of your life, it begins to secrete a lot of hormones, and then it kind of gets a lot smaller after that. The funny thing is, it does activate later on during the so-called awakening journey, where it starts to move energy in a very new way, and it actually extends from outside of your body. It's just like the solar plexus in that they sort of have a plume of energy that kind of comes out of the body a little bit more than some of the other chakras. But I would say if you're looking for a definitive location, look up an energy anatomy chart, do a little Google image search, and just look up thymus. That's where it's going to be. You shall find it. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. That's a very good question, by the way. Once again, why would you want to treat that area of your body, Selena? That would be if you want to limit the amount of emotions that you've gathered on behalf of other people, friends, family, kids, loved ones, people around you. We as empaths are constantly absorbing energy, and that's one of the most absorbent places on your energy body. The thymic chakra. Thank you, White Swan. It's like a sponge. It totally is. Very much so. Thanks, Angel Wing. She says, my dragons say hello. Tell your dragons I say, what's up? It's always good to see a few dragons rolling through. I mean it sincerely, though. I was not always a big proponent of dragon energy or dragon guides or dragon beings. There was a earlier stage in this strange awakening journey where I was just very indifferent of them, and I've said so publicly at a number of different intervals. It just hadn't been an energy that really hung around me too much, and I acknowledged them as being real, but they just hadn't really shown their face in the work that I do until I believe that it was 2020. And this is covered in the book, in which I had a face-to-face encounter with a reptilian. And I got to touch the physical body of that reptilian in an out-of-body state, no less. And it fundamentally changed the way in which I viewed, interacted with, and how I felt and how I still feel about reptilian energy. And in fact, if you want to learn about my experiences with reptilians, that is very, very heavily covered in this book. Some people will be like, well, Matthew's very pro-reptilian, isn't he? Aren't they the tormentors of all humans? Aren't they constantly eating us and, destroying our life essence and, victimizing us on the astral plane? Sometimes, some of them are, but just like people, some of them are really, really awesome, incredibly helpful, very highly vibrational, and have a very, very particular mission to help humans reacclimate themselves with what reptilian energy is. And if you guys have hung out on this channel for any length of time, you have heard me talk about that a lot, but it's definitely covered. We talked a lot about it. And so nowadays, when I hear about the dragon collectives, I feel honored. I feel honored because ever since that experience in 2020, reptilian energy has just been a factor. It showed up time and time again. In fact, it has shown up to my aid and for my benefit and for the process of teaching and multidimensional activation more so than any other group. Maybe other than one. But we'll talk about that another time. And so I definitely have a lot of respect for the reptilian collectives, which is why I guess I'll say this. I probably shouldn't say it because nobody asked, but I'll say it anyway. I always get a kick out of people that say this thing like, I cleared 50 reptilians from somebody in an energy clearing. I did a healing on so-and-so, and I pulled, 29 reptilians out of their energy body. In fact, I shouldn't say this, but I actually did an interview recently, which has not been published. I don't think it will be published, where somebody was talking about that. And I straight up was like, I'm sorry, I do not believe it. I don't. When you actually come in contact with a true reptilian energy, you will never ever think ever again that you're going to pull 25 of them out of somebody in a healing session. That's not the way it works. That is absolutely fundamentally wrong and is not the way it works. I think there are a host of many different, what we might call archonic or negative energetic manifestations that exist on the lower astral planes. And many of those are going to appear or look like or come in the form of some form type of reptilian energy. But when you really encounter an actual reptilian, there's going to be no question about whether or not you can remove it from the body, because in many cases you cannot. It will be between that person and the being that connects with them on their own terms, in their own manner. And in some cases, it's like you must merely allow them to observe the fact that you're even there. At least when it comes to what I would call, fully formed Draco entities or other types of beings like that, we don't really have the skill set as normal humans to effectively, remove those beings from one's energy body. In fact, it's not even a thing that I would be doing for you. It's something that that person does of their own self within their own path, in their own healing process with their own higher self and the guides that connect with them. And in most cases, I firmly believe if you do have real reptilian oppression in which these beings are actually oppressing you, it is far more rare than we have been led to believe. But the problem is that there's a lot of people out there that do really, really good work, and they will need to perceive frequencies or beings of darkness in a reptilian form in order for them to be able to grab onto it, in order for them to be able to, I guess we could say, deal with it or interact with it. They will need to perceive it as such, when in reality what we're talking about are literal shadow manifestations that exist within the body, elements of disembodied trauma. I would say even more commonly than that would be disincarnated spirits or beings that walk the lower astral plane that can show up within your mind's eye as anything they want, literally anything they want to show up as. And so I think we have this tendency to sort of grab onto darkness within the context of a healing session or within the darkness that exists within us and go, oh, it's a reptilian, it's Draco tech. That's what it is. Draco implants. And then the day will come in which you actually run into them. When you actually run into them, and then it's like, oh, wow, okay, that's a whole different story, which is talked about in the book. There was an early stage clearing I did with a person. I won't go into it too much here because maybe it's not really appropriate for YouTube, but I believe this was I want to say 2019, maybe 2020. In which I was going through this massively heavy phase, tons and tons of clients. I mean, there was over 1,000 that year alone. And I remember there was one person that came in that was just a wreck. Everything was going wrong in their life. I could tell they barely made it in the session. And they had talked about how they had been a victim of some kind of, we'll just say it, ritual satanic abuse as a child. And this person had even been a part of the supposed sacrificing process where they would actually raise. It's a gruesome thing. I'm not going to go into it too much here, but a person would be raised from the day they were born knowing that they were going to be sacrificed to some ancient deity. And I got to work with that person, and in the course of their energy clearing, I encountered the reptilian being that was attached to them. It was a very, very intense encounter. It just causes reactions in your body. It causes reactions within your physical body that I will not even get to here. Let's just say that much. And I almost ended the session. There was a moment in that first encounter with that being where I almost ended the session. It was one of the first times in which I was like, I don't think I can do this. And I just sat with it. I just sat there with it. And so Anyway, y'all can read about that later. Lakeside Laura says, "Quit teasing and finish the book." It is. It's finished. It's coming out on June 22nd. It's finished. It's coming out on June 22nd. And so, what have I been doing lately with all that? I've been reading it over and over again and editing it. All of the people that agreed to edit my book pretty much bounced really, really quickly. The people that were going to do the cover art bounced really, really quickly. Literally every person that agreed to assist me with the creation of this project just bounced in the midst of the creation of it. And so, um, it is what it is. I think one of the things I've learned is that most of the notable things I've done in this life had to be taken up by me and me alone. That I was the only person that could complete it. I was the only person that could go through the whole journey. I was the only one that could see it through from start to finish. And so, yeah, it's literally done. I just need to do the cover art, which I already know what it is. I just haven't taken the time to put it together. But coming out on June 22nd. So you will see it very, very soon. You will see it very, very soon. Anyway, let me know if you guys have any other questions. We're only going to be here for we're going to be here for a couple more moments. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for your comments, everybody. I'm going to scan through and see if there's any other questions from anybody. What's up, Dennis Lindsay? Haven't seen you in a while. Happy early Mother's Day. Totally. Happy Mother's Day to all the baby mamas, mamas. All of them out there. Love you guys. Thanks for birthing us into this world. And also for the animal moms, for the stuffy moms, the stuffed animal moms, for the, it's all that stuff. Happy early Mother's Day to all of you guys. Yep. Let me know if you guys have any more questions before we roll out of here. In fact, I think we do have a little bit of a surprise appearance. You guys don't know this, but I invited somebody on to the show earlier this evening in a last minute ditch effort to be like, hey, maybe we should promote this thing. And so in just a few moments here, we're going to bring on Brian Singh from Full Disclosure Now conference. He's going to tell us a little bit about the conference coming up. But before we do that, let me know if you guys have any questions here. From Dawn Vibration, she says, can you help me understand why I can't look most people in the eyes? I can usually only look at one eye at a time. Sometimes something I need to clear or them. That's a really good question. Oh man, which is it's a hell of an answer. I went through a really big period of my life not being able to look people in the eyes as well. I went through an even bigger period of my life not being even able to look up into the daylight sky. I could not even tilt my eyes upward to look into the full force of the light that was above me. And I think for me personally, it was because I was holding a tremendous amount of just thought forms and wounds and energies and toxins within the body. We also know one thing, and this probably doesn't have anything to do with your question, but the liver rules the eyes. And if you're holding a tremendous amount of liver energy in your body, it's going to be very, very hard for you to meet things with the gaze directly, head on. It's just a lot harder when you have a lot of liver energy. It's very hard to really generate clarity within the eyes and within the outer eyes. And so I would say for you, maybe it's because you're such an empath that you're picking up so much energy from people naturally, maybe without knowing it. Maybe you're just so absorbent that you're going to get a lot more data than other people. And so maybe you just look at one of their eyes and you're going to be able to pick up whatever you need to. But honestly, Don, that's not that uncommon. A lot of us who are really, really mega empaths, we're gonna, we're gonna be picking up so much from people that for most of our life, it's gonna be damn near impossible to really connect with it head on. I mean, very, very difficult. And I would say that that's a testament to your empathic ability. It's a testament to the amount of energy that you're able to read and absorb from people. I wouldn't say it's anything that you need to clear specifically, but I would say the more you can cultivate your energy body, which is the fourth gateway of intuitive activation for anyone who's still following along. The fourth gateway is energy body cultivation. And it is the number one deciding factor between those of us that can do this work on a regular, daily, professional level and those who do energy work for 2 or 3 months in 2024 because everyone else was doing it. It was fun, and I was kind of good at it. You're going to find a lot of people that go through that cycle of experience, right? And they're going to be like, yeah, I did it for a while. Then I don't know, it just didn't really work so well anymore. Kind of got stuck, didn't really go any further. Then I started doing that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but what you'll find is that the defining factor that gauges whether or not you're able to repeat and continue to use these abilities, as I drool on myself very heavily here on this live stream, the deciding factor is going to be whether or not you can cultivate your energy, which is why I always do qigong. I would say qigong's the number one thing, but I spent like 30 pages talking about that in our book, so we will be covering it more in the future. In the meantime, though, we're going to bring on a good friend here. I guess he's the director. Brian, I'm gonna just drop you on the live stream. Get ready. What's up,
Hello,
man?
everybody. Hi, Matthew.
How's
How
it
you
going?
doing?
Can you hear me? You might need to unmute yourself.
Uh-oh. Let me check. Let
You
me
might need
see.
to unmute, sir.
Can you hear me?
We'll give you a moment to get your audio squared away.
Yeah, I'll be right
How about
back.
this? I'm going to pull you out and you can get your audio straightened out, and then we'll come back in. But you guys, Brian was going to come in and tell us about the Full Disclosure Now conference. I think he's having a little bit of a glitch. So maybe that will be a fun momentary appearance, but I think he'll be back in a minute here. Anyway, we couldn't hear him on our side for some reason. We had no audio over here. Hopefully he'll come back. Wow, no. Brian, come back in if you can. Boom. Come on back. Anyway, he'll be back in a moment. Let's see. Okay, there we go. We're gonna try it again.
Check one, check two.
Oh, hey, there we
Can
go.
you hear me?
Honestly, dude, I think it was StreamYard, because earlier on this live, my whole screen went like black on me. I couldn't see anything. So you were probably working fine from the beginning. It was just me. Anyway,
Okay.
sorry. How's it going, man? Thank you for rolling on over to the multi-dimensional trailer park.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm joining you in my capacity as the executive producer and lead organizer for the 2024 Full Disclosure Now conference. And you, of course, are going to be speaking not only on our main stage, but also we have you doing a workshop as well on the second stage. And you know, the premise of our conference being that we're never going to get our Star Trek future that we all want and deserve, of course, unless we disclose all the nastiness that's happening in our government and beneath our feet and with our tax dollars, and so on. So here we are.
Yeah, thank you for showing up, man. If you have a few moments, I know you've been talking about this constantly over the past few weeks, and you're going to be talking about it a lot more. What are the dates of the conference, first off?
Yeah, July 15th to 18th. So that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's 4 days and nights of presentations and experiencer luncheon talks and UFO night vision goggle tours right there on the white sand beaches of St. Pete Beach there at Serrata Beach Resort in St. Pete, Florida area. And it's an amazing venue. We just had a teammate there on Sunday, and she sent video walking around the beach, and I'm so excited because I'm taking this call here from Northern Nevada.
Nice. What was I always stutter when I say this word. What was the inspiration for you wanting to put this thing all together? Because this is a hell of an undertaking. You've had to wrangle all these people, set up the website, get this, like location. I mean, like just seeing what little I've seen of it, like in the background, this is a massive amount of work that you're putting in. What was what even made you want to do this to start with?
Well, last summer I co-organized with several people, including James Rink, the Montauk Adventure Tour for 2023. It was the 80th anniversary of the Philadelphia experiment. And that was the Philadelphia experiment. Of course, is when in 1943 the U.S. Navy took two Tesla generators, one on either end of the USS Eldridge, a
Yeah.
Navy destroyer class ship, and they ripped a hole in time and space, and thus began the shenanigans of the U.S. deep state into time and space adventures, or of the bad sort, and that's really the Montauk Project, also known as Project Phoenix, was its real code name.
Yeah.
And off of that, that was a very successful event. I was going to organize this conference with James. We had a split of creative differences. This is all a matter of public record. He wanted to replace, I'll say it. And after I had recruited Penny Bradley, and Lou Rist, her partner, to be part of our conference, he decided unilaterally he didn't want her and Lou and wanted to replace them with a water slide. And that's why his one poster for the Timeline of Disclosure conference, he's throwing a counter conference to us now.
Nice.
He actually has a half day spent at the water park locally. And
So
so,
I guess he got the water slide after all.
right,
Nice.
well, actually, I
Okay,
think he
there you go.
removed
Good
that.
job.
They removed that from their calendar on their website, so maybe he didn't. But needless to say, I initially went into this conference being a co-organizer with James Rink. We had obviously a split of creative differences. Now he's going around saying that I've stolen his conference and I've stolen his ideas. And I'm going to say he's not the only person to come up with the idea for a secret space program conference. The
Yeah,
Journey to
they've
Truth
been going on
guys,
for years, right?
right, Tyler and Aaron 3 years ago or 2 years ago, through the Secret Space Conference. That was literally the name of it, featuring super soldiers, And so I'm putting down over $100,000 of my own money to make sure everybody is getting treated correctly, and we're going to have a quality event, and that the world gets the event that it should get in the name of disclosure. And so I'm going big, all out on my first event to do it right. And really, it's all for the movement. That's why I've got the money in the first place. So that's what we're using it for. And
That's impressive.
the other impetus was we wanted to throw an event partnered up with a sister event, Day of Being 4.0.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, organized by Zach and Sue Fisher. And this is a Starseed gathering event on the beach that Saturday and Sunday, the 12th and 13th of July. So we're going to be having people come to our free beach event to party it up at the beach for that weekend. And then it's going to go boom right into our 2024 Full Disclosure Now conference.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I have to say I am deeply impressed by just like the myriad of people that you have gathered for this event. Honestly, it's like you really went out of your way to find people from every kind of little offshoot, every little soul group, every, all of these different, like categories and like specialities. And like, you got the healers, you got psychics, you got secret space program people, you got, like journalists, like you got a little bit of everyone, which honestly I think is not something that I have seen at a lot of other conferences lately. It's like it'll all be geared toward this one thing or this, unified purpose, which there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a beautiful idea. But I think one of the things that makes it very, very unique is that you got a little bit of everything, and you also grabbed a lot of people that I think the world really needs to hear from, rather than just the same characters, which once again, there's nothing wrong with that, 'cause there's a lot of really, really good and awesome people that we love hearing and seeing over and over again. But you did a really good job of making it very widely varied with a bunch of different walks of life. And anyway, feel free if you want to share that. Are we able to do so here? Yeah. Let me see if I can bring it
Let's
on.
see. Yeah. So
Boom.
I'm presenting my screen here, and speaking to your point there, Matthew, the idea of who we have as our presenters, there is I think you've kind of picked up, there's a certain coherency to the lineup. And the way we did it is it's kind of like 80% of our content is secret space program, super soldiers, uh, ET contact and time travel. Okay. And then the other 20% is like spiritual ascension. Okay. And the reason why is because the disclosure movement, it goes hand in hand with the ascension movement, if you will. I think the more overt, if you will, ascension movement tends to be on the new age love and light side, the positive ET contact side of things. They tend to avoid, the reason why I call it the full disclosure movement is the full part. That's the satanic ritual abuse and
Right.
little people being harmed, and stuff like that for ritualistic purposes by the people on, the rich people on islands somewhere, as the song goes.
Yeah.
And so by taking that, we've got people who are experiencers of the programs themselves, such as Laura Eisenhower, a great granddaughter of President Eisenhower, or Arkeem Ra, definitely survived the
Totally.
Montauk Project, and it has a very lucid, important testimony, just like everyone here. And then we've got the people who've done remote viewing to
Yep.
confirm their testimonies, like people like Penny Bradley and Tony Rodriguez. Carrie Cassidy and Miles Johnston have been reporting on the super soldier phenomenon since the 90s for
Like
Miles.
forever, right?
Right. Yeah.
Totally.
And if not the 90s, since the 2000s, early on for Carrie.
Yeah.
Um, and it's you're going to find that in having this consistency of testimony of people who are in the Montauk Project or Project Ibis, or
Mm.
through the USS Navy, they were involved in secret space programs. You're going to find a lot of consistency of testimonies across a wide tableau, if you will. And I think that's really important, that people start to see all the pieces of the puzzle kind of chunk, 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 is
Yeah.
lining up and falling into place. And that's really what we've aimed to achieve here.
Man, I love it. I love it. This is kind of a dumb question. Maybe there's no answer to this question. Do you think the truth about all this stuff is actually going to like come out during our lifetime, or is this something that we have to do on our own terms? Because everybody still thinks of the disclosure process as, at least on some level, a great like revealing from like the powers that be or were, and everyone's still expecting in some way for them to go, okay guys, check it out, turns out we've actually been doing this the whole time. But I don't know if I think that's ever going to happen. And maybe I'm a little cynical, maybe I'm a little jaded. I think it's up to us, but I'm always open to other ideas. Do
Matthew, I'm
you
going to
see
go
that
out on
coming?
a limb.
Go
I'm
ahead.
going to go out on a limb and say you're cynical and jaded, my friend.
It's okay.
That's the East
Yeah,
Coast accent. That's the East Coast in you, brother.
it's okay.
Because I'm going to say it like this. In a way, disclosure is already here. It's in our face. It's happening. There are already people amongst us who are in contact with the ETs, with
Mhm.
Sasquatch. They've gone through interdimensional portals. They've got telepathy. There's no question for them. And then it's kind of like for the rest of normie land, people are sitting and waiting back, and they're waiting for the UFO to land on the White House lawn and for Gort to walk out or whatever.
I guess
You know,
that's like sort of what I mean. Do you think that stage will ever happen? Do you think,
that it's not
like
going to happen
Obama's
like
going to
that.
show up on, like on stage with, like a,
No.
some being and like, here we are, guys. Turns out
Mm.
I was, like a reptilian the whole time. That's the part I just don't ever
Well,
think that's coming, but maybe it is.
for that to happen, it's going to be from the bottom up, not the top down.
I
It's not
agree.
going to be because they hold a White House briefing or a Pentagon briefing, and they trot out a 5-star general with a gray ET and a hot Palladian, in a mini skirt, and they say, "Hey guys, we're here. Hey, thank you, Selena. We're here to announce ourselves to Earth." I don't think it's going to happen like that. I think it's going to be testifiers like Arkeem and Sean Bond and Alyssa
I
Zender
love
and
Sean.
and
Yeah.
and all these other people saying, "Hey, in addition to Colonel Michael Aquino, who's doing ritual abuse of people, We also had his underlings who are still alive and still in the
Mhm.
U.S. military, and we want them brought to justice. And all these people, with testimonies saying, while I was locked up in the underground military bases, thank you, Fifth Element. Um, while I was locked up in the underground military bases, these people were still down there, and they're naming the names of victims who they want freed. So they want,
Mhm.
on the one hand, you want people brought to justice, and you want people brought out of, slavery and being locked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really hope we hope you can make it, Aurora. And if you don't, we have a discounted or even comped live stream pass with your name on it.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
let's see. So disclosure is going to happen because enough pressure is going to come from the bottom up. Enough politicians are going to have their names named, and military people, and X, Y, and Z. Enough people are going to come out with like nifty little demonstrations of technology,
Yeah.
or video and photograph and evidence, and they're going to lead a tour to like the entrance to the nearest deep underground military base, and the lid's going to be blown wide open on this whole bioweapons experiment that we've been subjected to
I know,
worldwide.
right? Oh my God.
And as also as the economy collapses because of that, and all sorts of other institutions go down, these are going to be the seeds for disclosure.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Absolutely.
It's a dialectical process, if you
Nice.
will. It's not like rain happens automatically. First, condensation has to build, the
Yep.
temperature's got to get just right, and then just drop, and then the rain's going to fall out of the sky. But it's known as a dialectical Hegelian way of the way the world moves and changes. And the other side, they've been using this to force their own revolution, if you will, this whole time, of order out of chaos, where they're always creating
Right.
chaos and then generating the order they want, which is always ramming us into these 15-minute cities. We're looking at it from a dialectical standpoint of the contradictions of they can't enslave and eat and brainwash and bio-jab us all forever. In those moves are the seeds of their destruction. And as people wake up, as we wake up to the new technologies, the possibilities, name names of the evildoers and all
I know.
that, then we go from a point of, we're the fringe UFO people being hunted down like whack-a-mole, to
Mhm.
now there's like so many of us, the politicians, the pedophiles, they're being outed, and now they're being hunted down, whether behind the scenes or openly even.
Yeah.
Where the royal family, they're like magically drying up.
What do you think's going on with them? Sorry to
Oh,
change the subject
oh
in an
yeah,
awkward way, but we've seen a lot of like bizarre changes that have, taken place. People are going missing, there's those horses, running down the road.
right.
One of them had blood on it. There's been a lot of really bizarre symbolism, and they're all, missing in action at, like the current moment. What do you think's going on with that whole scene? Are we seeing like the end of an era in
Oh
terms of,
yeah,
like the monarchy system? What do you think?
absolutely. I believe either Kate Middleton, I believe she was taken out one way or another. And that's why we haven't seen her, other than bad AI. I mean, a
Right.
member of the royals family, for God's sake, who can't make a TV or photo or video appearance since December, 28th, I believe, was their last known appearance. And
It's pretty wild.
and then I love the other proofs of things like several years ago, John McCain going around for months and months with a leg brace on his like left leg, and then one day he
Right.
switched it to
Yeah.
his right leg, and there's literally a journalist says, "Hey John, I noticed your leg brace there switched from your left leg or to your right leg,
Yep.
one way or the other. What gives?" And John McCain goes, "Well, I just got tired of wearing it on the left leg, so I thought I'd swap it. Give the left leg a break for a while."
I
I
remember
mean,
that was a wild period, the whole like the sudden like leg brace thing. Everybody was wearing one for a while. Wasn't even like Ellen like wearing one at
yeah,
one point or something like that?
that's right. And then she
Hillary
was going
was,
on to
you know what I
Twitter.
mean? Maybe we shouldn't say all their names, but
No,
like
you
a
can't.
bunch of it was a weird period, right?
And she was right, and she and everyone else in Hollywood, she was going on Twitter wearing like canary yellow, having signs saying like, "I'm being held against my will. Please save me," and enjoy the Ellen show. Haha. Yeah,
Right.
that. Okay, so that is basically what it indicates to me is that yes, Hollywood had its adrenochrome supply messed with, and that's where you saw that whole spate of 6 celebrities, and Celine Dion like looking like a vampire.
Oh, I know,
you
right? That was
know,
crazy. Didn't
that's
she?
what that was.
She had stiff person syndrome or something. You remember that?
That's
I mean,
and that
when was that even a thing? You know what I mean? Suddenly
well,
now it is. You know,
so
you
well
take a
that
few injections and boom, now
actually
you're
that
yeah,
I put more on the bioweapon jabs.
yeah.
Because one of the things, and there's my biochem degree talking, and I only
Okay,
play a doctor on TV. I'm not a medical
nice,
doctor. I only did medical advocacy for 8 years nationwide. Um,
nice.
what it is a lot of people who are getting stiff person or Guillain-Barré,
Yep,
or their face freezes, Bell's palsy. That's an indication of nerve damage. So
yep,
probably what I would, if I was to put money down for Celine, I would say the biojab caused the spike proteins and mRNA technology to cause autoimmune attacks on nervous system areas.
yep,
And when your nervous system is getting attacked, well, guess what? You use your nervous system to move around. So people are getting facial paralysis. That's their facial nerves
yep.
are getting attacked by that jab. That's what that is.
Nano
And
neural toxicity.
yeah. Oh well, then yeah. Well, that's if because it can cross the blood-brain barrier using the exosome um, nano lipid particles.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
wild, man. Anyway, yeah,
Not good, not good, people. And you can detox out there.
you certainly
Reach out to
can.
Matthew and myself. There are very good protocols out there to detox. And I think someone asked, our website is www.fulldisclosuremovement.org because we're also forming a 501
Fulldisclosuremovement.org.
c3 nonprofit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm really, really, really looking forward to it. Thank you for having us, allowing us to be a part of that whole thing. It really looks really, really good. Um,
You
yeah,
should be there,
but
Matthew. I mean, you've got a lot to share for both your workshop and your main stage in terms of how people, can do psionic work and energy clearings and, find their mission. And I think a lot of people listening to this, their mission is your mission and my mission. Ultimately, it's building the new Earth,
yeah,
Earth 2.0, and the disclosure movement is part of that, obviously.
absolutely. I definitely agree. Like I said, it is an honor to be there. I'm really glad you got the 501c3 thing going as well. Really, really good job. Like the website looks great. Every single part of this so far looks really, really well put together. And I'm looking forward to a few of you guys in the chat. We look forward to seeing you guys there. It's only a few months away. But yeah, thank you. Here, we'll go ahead and pull this out of here. Oh, are you going to show
Actually,
us
real
the?
quick,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is a
Go ahead.
resort where we're going, guys. Okay, and
Dude, don't you guys want to hang out there? Seriously, check this place out for real.
with a conference discount, it's $220 a night. That's with fees and taxes and stuff. And you can share the rooms because they each have 2 queen beds. And thank you for sharing that, Aurora. And so it's an amazing venue. We're going to be right here doing UFO night vision skywatch tours, CE5. We're going to be meditating and calling in our positively oriented friends in the sky up there.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. We will definitely be there. Thank you for rolling through and giving us this little bit about it. Sorry it was so late in the stream.
Oh no, my pleasure.
Yeah,
I'm glad to
I
be here.
you guys,
Thank you.
I like literally hit him up 2 minutes, like prior to going live, like, hey, so you want to come in and talk about the conference? So thank you for being available. But is there anything else you want to share with us? Anything else you want to say that feels important before we roll out of here?
People who want to get involved, try to find me on Facebook. I'm wearing a Willy Wonka hat, just like in the profile picture on our website here for the conference, and let me know how you'd like to get involved. We're kind of goal-oriented and action-oriented. Great. If you want to be my friend, awesome. If you want to be my friend and volunteer, you're an experiencer and you have a testimony, you're an eccentric millionaire and want to donate,
There
any
we
of that
go.
is definitely welcome. And definitely for people who want to know detox protocols, that's a big one. My dad died from the jabs last November. Went from being perfectly
Okay.
healthy to multiple blood clots in the brain overnight. And there's ways to deal with that. And
Yeah.
if you want to come to the event and as an attendee, but maybe you'd like a discount or anything, I can hook you up too. And that's not a problem. We want to make it work. If you would like to come and you're not sure if you can afford it or X, Y, and Z, we'll pair you up with a roommate. We'll get you a discount, get you a volunteer shift. We'll get you a carpool down to Florida. Whatever it takes, we'll work with you to figure it out.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. There are not enough people willing to go to those lengths in order to make something like this happen. I think it's really impressive. It's a really, really cool thing. Like I said, we are honored to be a part of it. And yeah, thank you for rolling in toward the tail end of our strange little meeting here tonight with all these strange people over the internet and letting us know. I have a feeling there's going to be a few people in the chat that are going to end up showing up there as well. So you guys get on it. It's only what, like 2-3 months away. Let's see. This is what May. This is May 8th, right?
I
It's
know
coming up really
it's coming.
fast, you
It's
guys.
coming up. It's definitely coming up.
It's coming up.
Yeah, I'm hoping that a lot of our people that we see at Rebels of Disclosure, shout out to our friends coming up next week
Oh, you're going
here.
to be there, right? Are you
I'm
going
going
to
to
be
be
there?
there. I'm going to be
Hey,
there. So
we'll
hopefully the
see you in a few
people,
days.
yeah, we'll pick up some people maybe going to Rebels of Disclosure, maybe some people going to Contact in the desert. Maybe some of those people end up coming to our event. We'll pick up some live stream folks. And no matter what happens, we're doing this event and we're recording everything for posterity. And just getting us all together and the connections that we make, that's priceless. We're trying to bring the maximum amount of value to our attendees, our vendors, our presenters, and the world,
Totally.
from a disclosure perspective.
Hell
Cheers,
yeah.
Danny. I'll see you there too. Excellent.
Thank you. Thanks everybody. Thank you for rolling up through here. We're going to bounce in just a few minutes, so I'm going to pull you off the screen, but you guys please check it out. Full Disclosure Conference. We're going to be there in the month of July. I'll be doing a workshop. We'll be speaking, and there's a million other really, really awesome people there. And it's definitely a big deal for me because I don't do a lot of events. You know what I mean? We're always, within the outer, we're always on the outer edge of everything, which is honestly where we, it's where the real work happens. But every now and then you got to step forward and talk about it. So it's also a little bit of a book release process. And anyway, I'm really honored to be a part of it, and I look forward to seeing you there in the coming months. I guess I'll see you in a few days over out in the wilds of Illinois. But yeah, thank you for rolling on through here, brother. We will talk to you very soon. Okay. All right, bro. Boom. Thank you to Brian. Thanks for rolling through. And let me see if there's any questions before we roll out of here, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us all night. I guess we did go over our 2-hour mark. We went over our 2-hour mark. What's up, Josh Sorensen? Plus, I also mentioned Vimeo. So unfortunately, this video will never make it to your recommended YouTube videos list, unfortunately. But I want to thank all you guys for hanging out here. Once again, we're going to be gathering this Saturday over in Patreon at the Blue Flame Collective monthly reading meeting. You guys can find us over there at patreon.com/Blue Flame Collective. Everybody that shows up gets a reading, literally everyone. So please do join us coming up this Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, we will be back in the coming week, you guys. We're going to be over at the Rebels of Disclosure conference this coming week, and so I don't think they even have an internet signal there. I mean, they kind of do, but we'll be back in the coming weeks now that this book is done and things are moving forward. So thank you for hanging out with us, you guys. Once again, you can always find me at rememberyourmission.com if you want to book a private session with myself or Annora, you can do so. It's literally the only thing we do. We're booked a little far out. I think we're almost booked until June right now, but there are some spots toward the end of May. And I want to say thank you to everyone that's been coming forward lately. It has been a very, very busy time, and I'm really honored to be sought after within the work that we do. I mean that sincerely. So thank you to all of you guys who keep coming back time and time and time again. But yeah, Selena says, are you going to do a live from the conference? You know what? If we had good enough internet there, we certainly would, but I kind of don't think we do. I guess we shall certainly find out, but maybe we'll see you there Saturday, Chris P. Roll through if you can. In the meantime, you guys, we're going to go ahead and roll out of here. We'll be back in the coming weeks. Please take good care of yourself. Don't do anything too crazy. Get ready for an awesome book coming out. And yeah, thanks for being a part of this strange, multi-dimensional community of weirdos, misfits. You know what I mean? All those on the sidelines of this strange multi-dimensional soul group. If there's any place where you can hang out, it's definitely down at the multi-dimensional trailer park. So anyway, we're going to roll out of here. I love you guys, and we shall see you very soon. Boom.